Welcome back, everyone, to episode 67's After Show, or live open forum Q&A craziness stuff. And we're sitting out here with Magdalena, Reniat, and Korvak. Wait, why is your... What? Reniat, what's going on with your camera right now? Why are you green?
It's blue. I'm a Smurf, and I can't control it.
You're green, but I don't know what
I'm a
happened.
sick Smurf. I'm a sick Smurf.
Are you on
Here, I can try to, like... Yeah.
You went on Holy or Frost all of a sudden. I don't understand this.
Because it's evening now, and the lighting has changed.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
what was that? Oh my goodness.
I can put this in front of my face. That's what everyone wants, right?
Well, it looks fine. Whatever. It's okay. All right. So questions, again, if you guys have something in chat, if you guys pick up something, if you see something in chat, or I'll grab some things, of course, too. We'll sit here and chit-chat with chat room until 6:30. 6:30 is the cutoff. Just 6:30. Done. Alrighty. Let's see. Nothing that came in on Twitter. Only thing that came in on Twitter was, can Ultimate Adan appear on FinalBoss, please? And then Scrubbusters favorited it and retweeted it. Actually got retweeted multiple times. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So I guess the one thing we'll open up with while people ask questions, we didn't talk about this in the main show, is Blood DK soloing stuff. Been hit pretty hard, apparently. Well, I think Magdalena was the one that wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I suppose it's a good thing, in fact, that we're not talking about this in the main show, because I'm about to reveal something that's going to make many people happy, but also still going to get many people to hate me.
Right.
So basically, as most of you know, in patch 6.0, there was a squish. Because of that squish, all old raids had a hidden modifier applied to them, where your damage, dealt.
Wait, which patch? 5? Wait.
In 6.0, patch 6.0.
Oh, 6.0, yes, 6.0, yes.
Yes, in 6.0, basically all raids, I should say all old raids, so anything that is pre-mop got a modifier attached to it, because instead of squishing the content, what they did was that they made it so that we dealt a lot more damage to all those bosses, and we also took a lot less damage.
Yes.
The result was that literally anything pre-mop is an absolute joke to solo now. There is no spec in the game, tank or DPS, that can't solo anything pre-mop, including 25 heroic Cataclysm encounters. The reason that I bring these specifically up is because whether by choice or whether by omission, Blizzard apparently forgot to nerf the amount of gold that bosses from 25 heroic Cataclysm instances drop. Now, I'm going to give an example over here. There are 28 heroic 25 bosses from Cataclysm. Each boss drops 125 gold and also drops at least six pieces of loot.
Yep.
So, let's say that's an average of 250 gold per boss. That's at least 7,000 gold per per week that you can make through what is basically a joke. It's something that I do every week. It nets an insane amount of gold. And that's why I'm saying that people are going to hate me for this as well, because I know that many people have been taking advantage of it. And I'm sorry, guys. I think you know by now that this is not supposed to be the way things are.
Yep.
I mean, and to be fair, I've also said it on Twitter. Like, I said it on Twitter the first day that came out, and it was ignored. But, well, now you have it.
I get in a certain way, though, you can make that much gold from your garrison missions, though. I don't add up how much gold garrison missions, but if you get lucky with like a 500 and a 175, 75, it adds up. You could probably make as much gold the same way, and that's just AFK farming gold. Whereas at least soloing old content is you doing old content. So, I don't know. I mean, I know chat room's all like, no, rip gold from Cata raids, damn you. So
well, I mean, no, I don't know why. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know why they're saying that, because guys, I said it on Twitter way back in October. It wasn't listened to then, so there's no reason to just assume that because I said it now, that it's suddenly going to be blocked. And if anything, I do hope that anybody who didn't know about this, does know about it now. Go hop into a raid. From that era and enjoy the gold. Simple as that.
Pretty much. Absolutely. Do you guys all do the old raid stuff? Like Core, Ren, do you guys do old raid farming?
I should. I don't. I only do
Yeah,
it if I need
I should.
transmog.
Yeah, exactly. Transmog. Like I
Yeah.
haven't touched soloing anything since Wrath. Like going
Oh
back
no.
trying to solo 10 OS when it was like a tier behind, like fun stuff like that when the class was somewhat broken. But other than that, no, I haven't really tried any like super soloing lately, or yeah, not since Wrath pretty much.
So Cody in chat, Cody1091 asks, how effective is Mastery for improving Blood's DPS compared to the other secondaries? Ren?
It's not bad. It's just not nearly as good as multi-strike. I think crit is actually a little bit better than it too. I don't have the numbers, like the thing right in front of me, but if you're talking pure DPS, like challenge mode type thing, but like it's definitely not nothing. It's like 10% per, or it's not 10%. It's like if you have like 20% mastery, you get 10% extra AP. But yeah, so the simple answer is just it's very good, just not as good as multi-strike.
Right. For DPS, we broke that down earlier in the main show if you missed it. For DPS, there's like a stat layout, and then for mitigation, there's a stat layout. But in both of them, it's bonus armor is first. So.
Right. Never pass up on both armor unless it's a very like huge eye level difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you only get bonus armor on rings,
Necks and trinkets.
necks,
yeah.
trinkets, cloak. Cloak? Could the cloak have
Yes,
bonus armor?
cloak. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jewelry gear, yes, has bonus armor, but never like actual clothing, wardrobe. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the gold's gonna get nerfed. You make more gold than that just by playing the auction house. So I don't think they're gonna just nerf raiding. And I bet you the amount of people that actually do solo old raids is like really, really light in comparison.
I mean, if you're not like kind of actually fun to solo, then I encourage people to go and and step into raids from mists. That's where things finally get a little more interesting.
Right. Why is that a troll, Mags? Do you have any tips for blood DKs
Because
and CMs?
because JSDK is a blood DK who does a lot of CMs, who also makes videos for CMs, and is a very good player. So stop trolling, Jace.
This is one thing, I guess, on the topic of CMs. Like, I've been saving up all the BIS 630 blue pieces that are haste mastery for me when I go back and do CMs. I'll have, like, basically the best gear you can have. There's no point in wearing gear that's higher level than it, and it's actually better to be geared in 630 blues of the proper amount, barring trinkets, because different trinket procs, obviously they get scaled, but you want a better trinket, then use those. Would you suggest for, like, blood DK CMs? To have like the perfect BIS like blue set of gear, like the best stats you want for secondaries, or just go with whatever you have on for raids?
I mean, I personally don't do CMs that much. I did them opening of Warlords just to get the 640 gear. This is not my jam. Like it's not something I really care to do often. But I know that if you really want good times, so it all depends on what you're going after. If you went for golds, it's going to be a different answer than if you're going after like realm first times. Like I said, multi-strike crit is what you kind of want for realm first. Like that's as far as I know, that's what I've been told. Again, I don't do CMs enough to be an expert at all on CMs specifically. I raid. That's about it.
Do the other two of you, Mags, Core, have you guys done a lot of CMs?
I mean, I've done a decent amount, especially on beta, not so much in live. The one thing that I would just say is that the only reason you really want to have different gear besides trinkets, well, of course, there's wanting to stack the best stats for CMs, and
Yeah,
because CMs are all about damage, you want to stack multi-strike.
Yep.
By far, there's no point in gearing defensively when it's much more about lots of cooldowns, big AOE pulls, etc., etc.
Yep.
Something interesting that I don't know if people noticed was that there are a few weapons that have procs that actually manage to bypass CMs.
Oh.
When I say bypass, I mean because see, I'm sure that you all know at this point that gem sockets and most procs from things like tier bonuses are not enabled in CMs.
Correct.
The Bleak Blade of Shahram, however, that proc still works in CMs. It's a very minor proc, of course. It's a very insignificant proc, but a proc is still a proc. And I want to say that there's one or two other weapons that still work. So for a very small advantage, you could consider trying those.
if that weapon even procs, I have that on my ret before I crafted the 660. I don't think I saw the demon but once.
Right.
Ever. Yeah. Like, and then Core, what about you? CMs? You doing them yet? Or are you too busy with your 17 alts?
Well, me and a couple of guys, we were going to go knock out all the realm best times. We knocked out, I think, 6 of them the other week. And then a couple of guys from guild and some other guilds decided to go beat us when we started doing all the alt raids because we couldn't defend the titles then.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really do anything too different. Like, there are a couple of trinkets, like Pillar of Earth or Tectus, if you need the health and the survivability. That scales incredibly well in CMs. It's something like almost 500 stam and 110 of versatility and bonus. I'm like, it's amazing. But that being said, Pole's Binding Eye is amazing in challenge modes. And if you couple that with, say, Scabbard of Krynos or whatever his name is, you're in a good place. This is before the Blood Boil nerf. I haven't been back since.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I think. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. I that was roughly where I was going to finish anyway. Like,
I was going to say
can't really
that
explain too much more.
Blood DKs are still very much, in my opinion, the best tanks by far for CMs. You know, whatever else might be happening to us in the PvE world, you know, at large, despite the Blood Boil nerf, we're still among the best tanks. Yes, we have a little less damage, but those cooldowns, man, those cooldowns.
It's sort of always been between you and Brewmaster Monks, I feel, too. For the
Yeah,
echelon
it
of
has.
tanks for CMs, yeah, it's always been Blood.
Just
or
because we're
Yeah,
the
Brewmaster.
cleavy AoE type tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Even though the Prot Warrior buff is pretty insane, but I don't even know if... I mean, the Bear Thrash nerf is a pretty big deal, and Prot Pallies really don't have much AoE at all. You can't really... it's tough. It's weird, though, too, because the best raid tank, arguably right now, is either Prot Warrior or Prot Paladin, is for, like, survivability. Like, if they don't take that much damage, and, like, mobility-wise and stuff. But then, like, they flip in CMs. It's weird. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with just how the paradigm changes. And CMs,
Yeah.
what's going to threaten you most isn't a boss. It's going to be those huge trash
Trash
pools, which you have to
packs.
then, which you have to kill very quickly. As a Blood DK, you have cooldowns, you have AoE damage, you also have things like Remorseless Winter. And Blood is just fantastic for CMs. And then should things really hit the fan, you still have things like Rune Tap as well.
Yeah. That's sort of coupled into a question that Cody asked again, too, in chat, was how does Blood compare to other tanks as far as survivability goes? You guys said that Warriors were a bit under par. Well, Warrior damage was under par. Warrior survivability is awesome. Granted, that's all in physical. Warrior spell is kind of weird because Barrier sucks.
Right.
But, whereas, like, Prot Pally or a Blood DK is really good on spell damage.
Right now, it's hard to tell, and this is what me and Korvak both said in the chat. Like, it's just hard to tell. Highmaul doesn't hit very hard, so the difference between the players is going to make, and this is usually true, but the difference in players is going to make wildly more of a difference than the difference in actual tanks. Just because, unless there's something very wrong, it's hard to be squishy at the moment. Unless you're undergeared. And, there's other factors. I'm not trying to say for squishy that you should feel bad, because, there's reasons for it. I'm just saying, like, in terms of actual, like, raw tank balance, and players playing the class well and comparing classes under that assumption, there's just not enough tank damage to actually tell a difference in survivability. Any tank can do pretty much the same job with no noticeable difference.
Which I think that's a positive, though, for rating.
It is. It is definitely a positive. It's just it shifts the focus a lot more to DPS when you look at tank balance, I think, and that's kind of why these big nerfs are so worrying. When a lot of people are like, "What? Who cares?"
Yeah.
It's because damage is like the only differentiator between the tanks at the moment.
Differentiator.
Yep, that happened.
That happened.
Other than grip.
Other than grip.
Right.
But if if your group already has like a DPS DK bringing grip, you don't necessarily need the Blood DK bringing grip either.
Yeah.
Because you already
And
have
then you get shafted.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Again, if you guys have questions, you can tweet at FinalBossTV on Twitter or ask us in chat, of course. Either way, it works for a couple more minutes here with our guests. And of course, if you missed the main show, it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow by about 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Roughly the same time the show goes live on Sunday, mirrored 24 hours later, the YouTube version goes up. And the podcast only version will be the main show, and that usually takes something a day or two. Just depends on timing. Hilly Holt asks, when do you guys use Death Strike? And thinking of how many passive stacks do you have on it, or you just spam it?
Oh, I see. So the question is basically about Scent of Blood procs.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
You largely ignore them. You really don't pay attention to them.
Don't pay
It's
attention.
really, yeah, you don't pay attention to them.
Because it has no agency over when you actually Death Strike. You want to Death Strike after, like, bursts. It's very similar to how we handled it in MoP. A little more concrete, and it's not as variable. But you basically just... The very basic version of it is just don't cap. I mean, you can avoid it. Cap your HP. That's a very simple way to look at it. When you get more advanced, you can get into more like timing elements of like how many bursts have I taken the last little bit. You know, what do I expect coming up in the next little bit in terms of threats, like per second, so to speak. If you think of like a large hit that takes 60% of your health as a threat, you have one threat unit. You can like remove so many threat units per second with Death Strike, so many with cooldown, so many with Rune Tap, and then you can get kind of complicated in there, but essentially it's just a matter of reaction, and you just train yourself to kind of react correctly. After just practicing a lot, it just becomes second nature. So that's the long answer, I guess. But yeah, you don't track Scent of Blood stacks because that doesn't affect. Because one way to think about it as to why you don't ignore it is your Scent of Blood stacks. That gain is not. Like the amount you gain per second is not affected by Death Strike.
Yeah.
Because if you gain more on this strike, you'll have less than the next strike, so to speak. If you think about like in one chunk of time, if I'm gonna get 10 stacks here,
true.
I have 3 blood strikes. It doesn't matter if I have 3, 3, 2. That doesn't up to 10. Forget I said that. 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, and then 6. Like you can't have 6 in the Death Strike. All right, don't do the math live on the air. It's never recommended.
Not
As
recommended.
you just found out. But what I'm saying is, if you don't get 1 on this Death Strike, you'll get 1 on the next one. So it's like you're losing Scent of Blood stacks by Death Striking at a specific time, is what I'm trying to say poorly.
Korvas DK on Twitter. It's like almost a distant cousin of Korvak. You have people around the world. Do you receive healing and blood shields from Death Strike multi-strikes and or dancing rune weapons attacks?
No and no.
No and no.
Yes. I suppose a good way to think about multi-strikes would be this way. If it can't crit, it likely is not going to multi-strike. Death Strike healing and Blood Shield can't crit, so they can't multi-strike either. They could, of course, change that rule in the future, but I don't think they will, and that is how it currently is.
Okay. Gotcha. Right to the point. I love those questions like that. You can just like, good. We're at time. I saw a question in chat. Where'd it go? Oh my goodness. Well, I think you guys are talking about it. Oh, again, the question was brought up like doing CMs for the first time. What do you want to stack? Multi-strike if you can. Obviously, bonus armor, multi-strike. That changed a little bit in raids, because in raids you might want mastery for survivability. I think that's about it. We kind of talked about that during the main show, Qualio 22. I guess not specifically about the Blood Boil nerf with multi-strike. I mean, with Blood Boil doing less damage, multi-strikes are going to be less powerful. So it's just a flat, arbitrary change.
Yeah, sort of like crit or something.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, that's about it. Anything you guys want to... Any other questions that popped up into your brains you want to respond about?
Not exceptionally. There's one that's actually a pretty decent question, and that is architects like positioning. It sucks. They're bosses and mobs of all kinds. They're refreshing their like chase faster.
Yes.
So they move much faster, and they will sometimes they try to kind of. This has always been the case. They try to that in of itself isn't a problem. Them moving faster is not a problem. It's that there's this chase mechanic like ballistics. They will try to predict where you're going, so that they're not chasing you like in a direct path. So you can't go in a circle, and they'll follow you in the circle. They'll always go to where you're going to be.
Yep.
The problem is with the speed at which they're refreshing this, they actually will sometimes react to very small changes you make in a very big
Right.
way. So you strafe a little bit, and they're just off in the distance. You sometimes like I've had it where it actually literally I move a little bit, and they're now behind me, like
Yep.
100% just behind me, like off a small change that I make, and it's very frustrating, especially like on pull. I can't count how many times on Korag. Like I've done army, so I'm back away from the boss because army. So I want to cut army close, not army close. I want to cut pot and everything close. So I'm staying way back, and I run in. I try to like time it right so that the boss gets me before he gets someone else, but he doesn't leap forward, which I hate it. I just hate it. And like you try to move him back,
has
try to
something
move
to
him
do
back,
with
and he just goes crazy.
it has nothing to do with the anything changing in how mobs and bosses move. It's that the fact that the server poll is now roughly
That's
a
what the answer
40
we
millis.
have. That's the answer we have.
Well, it makes sense though, because
Yeah,
technically
it
in a
does.
packet of 300 to 500 MS of the server, if you move and the boss like thinks it needs to move, but then it rechecks again in that packet, it goes, oh, it didn't have to move much because the guy's right here, he just turned. But now when you want to move and it polls as you do it, the boss is like, I gotta move, and then you move again, I gotta move again, I gotta move again. Yeah. Tanking Ner'zhul is not fun.
No,
And
he's
it's
the
horrible for
worst.
melee as well.
Oh, it's awful for
Very
us,
bad melee.
yeah. Because the boss like
I
flips
actually
around.
throw things when the bosses pivot. I get so angry. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Like they step into you, they start pivoting, melee starts sucking. I just want to break things. It is the most annoying thing for a tank. Your job is to position. Your job is to keep the fight under control for the rest of them, so they can stand where it's safe and good. But the fact is, when a boss is spinning or just strolling around doing whatever he wants, stepping inside of you, trying to hit you in the back, you can no longer melee it. It's just messed up, man.
I don't know. I wonder if they should almost kind of put a soft pad in the code somewhere. I don't know how we would do this, but to make that boss reaction, movement, and chase updating is actually delayed slightly, which I think would probably fix the problem. Because with the boss checking your position relative to its position every 40 milliseconds, compared to the previous 300 to 500, like moving tank stuff in the back in last expansion before that was fine. You got used to it. But now it's like you're playing like dodgeball with the boss.
Right. Plus, their hitbox is just small, so it amplifies the problem.
Well, some hitboxes are small. I know we've had some wipes on Imperator where we think he's behind, but the way the mob clips through your model, we've had tanks hit in the back, where everything in front of the boss, like face toward it, not behind him. Because the way, like during a move, like during an auto attack, as it reconnects to you, and it's like halfway through your model, and it clips, hits you in the back, and kills you. Yeah, stupid. If you guys have any more, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Best one was, if you're looking at buggy boss mechanics, the best one was when we killed Korag for the first time, like the first people in the world. Every time the hunters got MC'd, the boss would get all the hunter buffs, and he'd crit the tank, and do all that fun stuff. Yeah, it was great. Just to see yourself fall over dead to like 1.2 million melee swing.
Yep.
Yeah, that was great fun.
Yeah, well, great fun. Yeah, great.
Yeah, great, great,
the
great.
Little
fun.
arm movement there. It's so much fun. All right, it's second time for the button. If you guys, of course, have questions for our awesome DKs, and of course, for future DKs, you can go over. Oh, I closed the website. No! Go to SonOfALich.com. It's on Magdalena's thing. Mag, there's your boop. SonOfALich.com. Jump into their IRC at Acherus. Talk to these people. Ask them questions. And become part of the awesome DK community that's out there for Blood, Frost, and Unholy. Again, thank you very much for watching. My name is Adam K, aka Bay. I run this little show over here. All of our Final Boss stuff is at FinalBoss.tv. Our YouTube link, Facebook, Twitter, social media, stuff like that. All down below the stream. There's some special deals we have and stuff and buttons to click on. You can go do those. And our guests today, again, were from Down Under. My fifth Australian guest on the show today. There's Korvak from Ascension. You can go follow him out at ascensiongaming.net and find out how many more world firsts they're going to get in BRF. The real race. You guys ready for that, Kor? You good?
I hope so. I really do.
Are you going to have to like get in? You're going to have to like get in the raid really early to get the Australian servers for raids, not the US ones. That'll kind of put a hindrance on there.
That's another big worry, is if we ever get a US server, it's really, really going to be negative to the progression.
Yeah.
Like, it's not at all nice.
That would be pretty bad. Because you guys get used to your nice MS now. I still think that's kind of ridiculous that your instance servers can still be on the US. Like that seems like a what?
Yep, it really is. It just blows our minds. Like, you go from 50 or 30 to 50, and that's say most people in Australia now.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're back at 350, 400. Well, people in major cities are probably down 200, but people like me who have to deal with the 350, 400, and makes us want to cry.
Ridiculous, sir. Well, good luck on that. It'll be fun to watch the race.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. It was a pleasure. And there's Reniat. You can go look at his blog at sanguinefortitude.wordpress.com. Of course, his other social stuff is there. He is rather good at Twitter as well as when I ask him questions and stuff. But thank you, Ren. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, sir. Good to see you.
It is.
Your camera's not a pleasure. We gotta get that fixed.
No, yeah. Buff cameras, please.
Buff cameras, indeed. And then Magdalena over at SonOfALich again, and something wicked. Thank you for being on the show, sir. It's awesome.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yep. And then there's my face again. Thank you all very much for watching. This was the after show. If you missed the main show again, it'll be on YouTube tomorrow evening. See you all later again. Next week is Resto Shamans. Vixen is one of my guests. I'll have one more guest on social media. And Affinity in Midwinter will be my guest co-host. So we'll see you all there for that one. Have a great week. Have a good reset. Have fun clicking on your garrison missions. And until next time, guys. Bye-bye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Bye.
Ah, bye.
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 Yeah, you can't see you. Blah, blah, blah.